Welcome to the first episode of We Are BU, a Bethel University athletics podcast. I'm John Shirkey here with my co-host, Jamie Wagner. Jamie, good to see you.
You as well. We are so excited and grateful for the opportunity to highlight what is amazing about Bethel University athletics, from having conversations with people that are running the show like we get to today. We're going to talk to athletic director Greg Peterson in our interview today, and just really an awesome opportunity to connect with him, but also coaches, athletes, potentially people, alumni. Like, we just want to highlight how awesome the opportunity to compete at Bethel was for us, and we know how transformative it is for anybody that's been a part of it. And we're stoked to have the opportunity to bring it to people.
Speaking of us, I graduated in 2007, played football. I was kind of a legacy Bethel grad. I had two older brothers that also played football there. So I kind of grew up going to Bethel sports, Bethel basketball games, football, the whole thing. And like you just said, it was a transformative experience for both of us, and how we got to this point where we said, hey, let's do this thing. Let's give back. Let's highlight what it means to be an athlete at Bethel University and the people that make it possible to have such a cool experience. And Jamie, I know your experience was a little bit different than mine in terms of, I always knew I was going to Bethel basketball camp, football, the whole thing. Yours was a little bit different.
I didn't even go to Bethel to begin with, right? I chose something else. Honestly, like I don't know, the first time I even heard about Bethel was probably in youth group in high school, but I just ignored it mostly.
Yeah.
It wasn't really on my perspective places to go list. I was intending to go to California. I ended up having a pretty good senior season playing football also, and had the opportunity to play football and wrestle at Augustana College in Sioux Falls. So I ended up going there for my first 2 years, and there was kind of this tug on my heart that I wasn't being fed spiritually. I wasn't being fed emotionally. I'd quit playing football to just wrestle, as our wrestling team was really competitive nationally, and I wanted to be a part of excellence. And I went and did that for a year, and I missed football. I knew I wasn't a part of the type of spiritual growth I wanted to be. And the second I started looking, Bethel kind of just was pulling on my heart. And I ended up, spending 3 years there, and also graduated in 2007. John and I were roommates, listener.
Several times, Jamie.
Heritage. We lived in Heritage together, actually. But yeah, so I did play another year after you were gone, though. So I graduated in the fall of 2007. You graduated spring of 2007. But it doesn't really matter how we got there, right? I think what happens when you get there is the stuff we're going to try and highlight here. And it made me who I am today, obviously. And
no, you're absolutely
more grateful for it.
You're absolutely right. It doesn't matter how you get there, and we're going to talk to, like you said, coaches. We're going to kick this whole thing off in the best way that I can imagine possible with the new athletic director, Greg Peterson, who just took over in June. And the conversation that we get to have with him about, the growth of Bethel athletics from where it was when he played football in the 80s, right, to where it is now, and the vision for the future, where we want to go. It's just continuous growth. And I think one of the things that we'll get to in the conversation, but that both of us got and was instilled and is deeply rooted in us now, is that continuous improvement. Let's keep getting better every day mentality, which is Bethel athletics. Like, let's keep competing at a high level and don't be satisfied with where we're at. Continue to do this thing, but most importantly, build the relationships around us with, both vertically and horizontally, as Coach Jay would say, right? And continue to grow every day.
And I think that is the piece that is so incredible, is that we are grounded in a common belief, a shared faith in Jesus. And that thing, that groundedness allows us this ability to connect, to tether, again, to use a Coach Jay phrase, to tether to one another deeply in not just our teammates, not just our coaches, but our peers in the community, to grow and reach out to others that have had a similar experience, and to know that our call actually is to grow and to continue to be shaped and formed by the interactions that we're having, that the relationships that we're developing, and then to be challenged by, as athletes, the lifting, the running, the training, the challenge of our opponent, like all of that draws out who we're called to be and meant to be, in service to the kingdom. So I think it's just an amazing gift that is given to us to be a royal, and everything that means.
Absolutely. Some other things that we're excited about getting into here is, we're going to get into a little bit of the current state of sports at Bethel, a little bit of current events, but we're coming out bi-weekly. So it's a little bit hard to be a daily update, but you can find all that stuff on the new Bethel Athletics website, athletics.bethel.edu. And then the other thing, Jamie, you and I kind of talked about being excited about is, how do we reach out and include some of the alumni? Not only just, we certainly have a lot of relationships there, having played there, but the whole history of Bethel has such a richness of giving, of service, of growth and athletics. And we're going to reach out to some alumni and hopefully bring them on and have conversations along with, talking to the current coaches and the state of the programs, those sorts of things.
Yeah. And what a gift it is to be grown by people at every stage in the process. Coach Jimmy Miller, who we both played for, used to say you have to be mentored. You have to have somebody that's longer on the stage than you are, right? That they've been here, they've done it, they've gained the wisdom, and they're giving that to you. You have to be a peer. You got to grow with people around you, and like garden friends have that thing, and you need to mentor. And so that's part of this process also, is to look at people that have gone before us and have set that boundary. And like Petey says at some point in the conversation, we're standing on shoulders, right? We're standing on shoulders, and we all are, but we also, this is an opportunity for us to be peers with all of you out there listening, no matter when you may have gone to Bethel or if you're interested in attending Bethel. And so this is all part of that process. And it's just part of the opportunity for this place to continue to give and grow us, even after we've gone.
We hope that you will join us every 2 weeks for a new conversation, to be stretched, to be grown. Today's, as Jamie mentioned, Greg Peterson, Athletic Director, Bethel University. Here we go. We are now joined by a very special guest, and I can't think of any better way to kick off this podcast than to welcome in the Athletic Director of Bethel University, Greg Peterson. Coach, I sent you an email and I said, hey, I can't call you anything other than Coach because that's how I know you, but it's a pleasure to have you. We're super excited to be on this journey with you and with BU Athletics. How you doing today?
Great. It's good. No, thanks for having me. It was a little bit interesting when you emailed me and you called me Coach. There's still people around here that do call me Coach, and I will. I'll never forget the previous athletic director, Bob Bjorklund, when he retired, or when he got out of coaching and transitioned to the athletic director role. I remember a specific conversation with him where he talked about how he loved being called Coach, and kind of it was a term of endearment for him, and not just because he coached, but kind of all that was wrapped up in that, the work, the investment, the relationships, the hard stuff, the journey, everything. So yeah, feel free to keep calling me Coach. That's okay.
Well, we're coaches, right? John and I are both coaches in some capacity in life, and to understand how much that role matters and the impact that it has, and the lasting impact that it carries, it's an honor, like you say, to be called that. And I think that's why, in some ways, we wanted to reach out to the people that are going to be guests on this podcast is to be able to say, how did you get to that kind of hallowed ground, and what does it mean to you to have that opportunity to impact and change people, at this really transformative period of life, 18 to 23, and
right.
to be put in that position. And you guys obviously have done an amazing job of putting great people in those places. What's the state of the coaching staff, the people that are serving Bethel right now? Because it seems pretty awesome from the outside.
Right. So I'll probably bounce around here a little bit, and
That's great.
So bear with me with that. So I came to Bethel in the fall of 1988, and so when the football program, when they opened the season this year down at North Park University in Chicago, that was my first time not being involved, like intimately involved with the Bethel University football game since the fall of 1987, which is kind of shocking to me. But then you look back at kind of all that time, however many years that is, and really the transformation that's gone on here at Bethel. You think about like when I came in the 80s, I mean, there were legends around here that you kind of hear these names of people, and but also there wasn't really this a huge amount of on-field success, but there were shoulders that we stood on of people that really laid a really solid foundation. And, I think over the last 30 years, then there's just been some really, some coaches that have not only really bought into what Bethel is and really embraced all that Bethel has to offer. The integration of faith here, we really take it seriously. And I think one thing that has been huge for us, I think, is to use that as an advantage for us. How do we, it helps in recruiting. I really believe that because we want to recruit kids that want to be at a place like Bethel. And that means different things for different individuals. Some are really, have grown up with faith in their background, with their family, and some really are just trying to figure it out, but they kind of feel like, something is different about that place, and I want to experience it. So then in the midst of that, just the life transformation that can happen when you get those kind of individuals around each other, it can be really profound. And that's really what really juices me up about being here still. I think the one thing that you look at our staff, and Jamie kind of asked, the state of Bethel athletics now, and 20 and 30 years ago, the Bethel staff was pretty much Bethel people, like alums, and that has changed over the years. And I remember several years ago thinking, just kind of like, is that a good thing? Is that a bad thing? And what I've really found as I've kind of thought about it more, it has become so cool because we have people that, like different coaches that they have different experiences at different places that they can really draw from. But the desire for them to be at Bethel is because of Bethel, not because it's a coaching job, but because of what Bethel stands for and the mission of Bethel. And that's really what gets them fired up, I think, is being able to integrate all those different pieces into their coaching role, where they can really impact young men and women in pretty mighty ways.
Coach, obviously you've been there a long time. You come in, in the sports information, men's basketball, you get involved in football, and you just talked about that incredible run of all of those years of being intimately part of the football program. One question I have for you, going all the way back, if you can take us back to that time when you're deciding, what is it about Bethel for me? So I guess what drew you to come to Bethel in the first place? And then we'll have a follow that up with another one.
Sure.
What brought you there in the first place?
Well, here's what's interesting is I was probably almost predestined to go to Bethel, like a lot of people back in those times, where I had family members that came here, and but one thing I visited Bethel, I really liked it, but my mom really encouraged me to visit other places. So I visited a couple other places, both MIC schools. And I remember thinking, well, I want to go to Bethel. But she said, no, you need to go check these other places out. And that was really meaningful to me because it just confirmed how much I wanted to be at Bethel. And so that, and then when I came, and I had a great high school experience. I really did. I had great friends. I had great experiences with athletics and a lot of different things. So then when I came here, I specifically remember, a week before I was leaving my hometown to come to Bethel, thinking, man, nothing's going to be better than my high school experience. And, there's a little bit of that hesitation, I think, that all freshmen have. And then I came here and, man, I mean, it was not even close. It was, and not that, I mean, I'm not even saying that to say my high school was bad, because it was amazing. But I was here at a place where I could really thrive. And when I was coaching and recruiting, that's something that I told prospective student athletes a lot is don't go somewhere where you can make it through. College is too important. Go to a place where you can really thrive. And Bethel was that for me. I found lifelong friends. I felt like I was in a position or a place where I could really be myself. And I was actually telling somebody just the other day that Bethel was really a place where my faith, even though I kind of grew up in a family where, my parents had me in church all the time, every time the doors were open, we were there, it seemed like. But I was really able to make my faith my own and kind of figure it out. And that came with some challenges and some uncomfortableness of different things. But I think really that it allowed me to grow but I could do it in really a safe place where I didn't feel like I was at risk of going off the deep end in some way, so that was really meaningful for me.
Now, I wonder, maybe this is partly already answered by the answer you just gave, but you've been there for a lot of years. I'm sure have had opportunities or had the thought of what would it be like outside of being in this place?
Right.
What kept you there? So you answered the first part of what brought you.
Right.
What has kept you there and made you even more passionate about continuing to serve that place?
So I think over the years, so you're right, Shirks, so I was a student, graduated in 1992, immediately transitioned into kind of a very, entry-level coach, did some other things on the side, but was coaching football. Then went into sports information. Then I had some kind of moved up the chain a little bit from a coaching standpoint, and was offensive coordinator for a long time and assistant AD for a long time. And I remember I never really had a desire to chase a job or a title or anything. I remember talking to a friend who their whole desire was to be a head coach no matter what. And I remember thinking, that's not my deal. I mean, if that happens, if that's what I feel like God's calling me to, okay, that's great. But I didn't feel like I ever had this, like a desire to chase something. And then I think the other thing along with that is that the people here are so absurdly amazing. I don't know where you can rub shoulders with people each day that sharpen you like they do here, that encourage you, that hold you accountable and kind of give you a standard of, man, I really want to shoot to for this or just to really do life well. And I think the other thing in coaching that when I was coaching that really was really meaningful to me. So married, I have 3 kids, and I think, and this is drawing on my football coaching time here at Bethel, is, I think football coaches, they don't have the best reputation regarding how that we do life in terms of, hours at work and just kind of things like that. And it was always very meaningful to me that Coach Jay would be, do whatever you have to do. And, we never had to feel like, oh, I need to get in at 6 and stay till 10. Any time I said, what, is it okay if I miss practice? My son has something. Yeah, let it go for it. And so I think that was extremely meaningful. And I actually had the opportunity to teach it was a football coaching class at the University of Minnesota for about, I think it was about 12 years or so, 12 or 13 years. And that was really good for me to get out of kind of just the Bethel atmosphere and kind of engage in another area. And what I learned, or one thing that really kind of became known to me during that time, because I would be talking with kids that are having different experiences, and I would talk to different coaches, and it just became so apparent to me that it isn't necessarily the job, it's who you work with that's going to change, that's going to make it good or not. I can have a great job, great money, but if who you work with isn't good, it really doesn't matter. So just really the culture and the community of our campus is just really special, I think. And I think if you jump into it and really invest in it, the life transformation that we've talked about is bound to happen.
And I think that has been reflected in the sports programs also in terms of success. You've seen Bethel be a place that has transformed from maybe, hey, let's just give student athletes an opportunity to both experience their faith in a powerful way and still continue to compete in sports, because we love to do that, to say, no, we're not going to say, let's just compete. Let's compete at the highest level. Let's go and compete for championships in the league. Let's go and compete for nationally, relevant position. And we're going to schedule that way. Like, how has that happened? What has changed about the thinking, around, we want to be excellent on field also?
I love that question, and I love that topic of excellence, and it's been interesting. So I'm going to apologize right now because I'll probably bounce around a little bit here. But I had the opportunity to talk to like all the sport teams when they came in this fall, and I've connected with a couple more as we've got rolling. And then the other thing that we just hired a new men's basketball coach here, and that's been really cool, because one thing that he talked about is, he said, I think that Bethel has the opportunity. He was talking from a men's basketball side, not only to win MIAC championships, but to win national championships. And it's not because of, it's because of our, I'll use the term niche. We can embrace that, and we can be really good. And the other thing that really excites me about just kind of that question, Jamie, is I really think excellence is biblical. I think that we can have way more impact on Christ's kingdom if we're winning the conference and winning a national championship and on the front page of the paper. Our platform is so much greater. Not that, if we're over, God can still use us, but I'd rather not be. I think we're called to be good, and let's be good. And you know what? As we've over the years, I think we have coaches in place that really believe that, but also are just really good at putting things in place that allow themselves to be successful. And how recruiting has changed at this level, how there's just, I think we've become much more serious in terms of how we go about athletics, meaning, recruiting is a big deal. We can't just assume someone's going to come. I think so. The investment that our coaches make recruiting is integral to the success that we have. I think we have coaches that are really good at their craft. They take that seriously. And I think we have coaches that really invest a lot and care a lot about the young men and women that they coach. So then all of a sudden you kind of put those two together, or those three things, where you have a talented student athlete that loves Bethel for all the right reasons, that's really cared for and is put in a good position, good things happen. But I really, I think we could be, here's what I'd say. I'll go back a little bit, Jamie, is we had so we have some new leadership here at Bethel. President Allen has been here a little over a year now, and I had the opportunity a few of us, to meet with him this summer and really like just talk about where do athletics fit in, and just his openness and desire to, and to really buy in with that, hey, if we can use great athletics to impact the kingdom, let's do it. Let's go for it. And so he was all about that, and that just really fires me up. I'll share one little story that. So my oldest son is 18 years old, but when he was probably 4, he did this little camp, and it was like a soccer camp. And at the end of the camp, they do like, you come and pick up your son at camp, and they do like a little year-end or camp-end program, and each little team does a skit or like a cheer. And his cheer was something along the lines of, if we don't win, that's okay, as long as we're playing for the Lord. It was something like that. And I turned to my wife and I said, I'm theologically opposed to that. I don't agree with that. I don't know if that really is theologically wrong or not, but I just think it does matter if we do well or not. It absolutely matters. So Joel Johnson, he's the Bethel grad who was recently a assistant women's hockey coach at the U of M. Now he's at St. Thomas as they've transitioned to Division I, and he's the U.S. Women's Olympic hockey coach as well. So I've known him for a while. He has a daughter that goes here, but I saw this thing that he was talking about when he took over the Olympic program, and he said that we're absolutely measured by wins and losses. Because, and I would say because we are in athletics, that's how it is. It's, if we don't want to be measured by wins and losses,
go do something else.
Yeah, let's do something else. It's like the Herman, who's the coach of what's his name? Coach of Arizona State football. You play to win the game. That's why you play. So we are measured by wins and losses. But there's a big but after it, saying that's not what's going to define us. We're going to be defined by, the impact we have on students' lives, the life transformation that happens, how our young men and women are, when they leave Bethel. Are they ready to step into what's next in a good way, to be parents and husbands and wives, and that's what will ultimately be defined by. But we absolutely are measured by how we do on the field or court.
So, Coach, I love that this has transpired to here, because before we even hit record, we were talking about one of the things that foundationally, Jamie and I are both Bethel grads. One of the things that we took away, and that it's part of our everyday life, is continuously getting better, continue to grow. And, when we look back at athletics and where it was to where it is now, what's the future look like? What's your vision for what are the next steps to continue that growth? And, I'm sure that, you've been thinking a lot about that over the last year and a half or two, right, when you've been preparing for this. And so what's the vision for the future, and how are we going to get there?
Well, hopefully I don't put my foot in my mouth here too much, but I think that we can be like the top Division III school in the country. I really do. And so a couple things to look at right now. And right, so we're in the 15th largest media market in the country, in the Twin Cities. We have a unique opportunity right now where I think we are at the top of this area from a Division III overall athletic program. If you look at all of our programs, I think we're as good, or if not better, than any other Division III school around. We have the things that Bethel has done in recent years from an academic side. Excuse me, how they have really invested and made programs like engineering and the sciences, all those things that are academically relevant to what our prospective students are looking to get into now. From a recruiting side, like over the past 5 years, or maybe even 10 years, kind of since the economy really started coming back, after it was really hard, 2008-9, I think parents, when you'd recruit, they went from, oh yeah, I want to be at a place like Bethel, to the transition came to, okay, is my son or daughter going to have a job when they leave here? Yeah. And I think Bethel has done just a fantastic job of working within the academic programs to develop areas that, man, this is an opportunity. So, our sciences and our business and our engineering, and those are just rock star academic programs. And I've told several people that, what, if Bethel baseball is good, that helps engineering. And if engineering is good, that helps volleyball. And if volleyball is good, that helps business. And, it's just this cycle. And so I think we have a great opportunity with how we pair with the academic side. And the last thing I would say is, I think we have something that people want, meaning the young generation, high school kids right now, they are attacked in so many ways, and they have so much junk that they're dealing with, that and not that Bethel's perfect by any stretch, but Coach Jay talks a lot about, when he's recruiting, of Bethel is good soil. This is a great place to grow. Doesn't mean we're perfect. Soil is still dirty and muddy and all that, but I think we have what people want. I'll qualify that. We have what the right people want for us, and as we recruit and find those people, those young men and women, I think Bethel has positioned ourselves to be really in a great position. I've told several people that I've never been more hopeful for the future of this place. I think we can be unbelievable. And I'm not just talking athletically, I'm saying across the board. I'm super excited about what's ahead for Bethel. That being said, I don't think it's not like we're there yet. I think we have, I've been just doing some different things. There's things that we have to do we have to build like some sustainable structures, some sustainable budgeting things in place to just to give ourselves an opportunity to really continue to grow. We have some space issues for some of our programs where, we have, like in February, there's a team, it's going to be a team practicing in our field house at about 11 at night, and I don't know if that's exactly the ideal situation to really give the student experience exactly what we want it to be. So I think, we have some things like that we have to kind of put plans in place. And I don't think it's not easy, and it's not gonna, one thing that when I officially took over June 1st, I remember having this realization that it all isn't gonna get done in the first week, and it might not be the first year, it might not be the first 2 years, but really just need to have a long-term view of how are we going to get there. But I'm extremely hopeful and excited about what we can do, because I think we have some pretty cool things in place. Kind of the foundation is sure, I think, and as we build on that, I think we can do some pretty cool things.
What an exciting way to think about it, though, right? It's not going to be a week. It's not going to be a year. It's not going to be 2 years. Like, it's going to happen, but we have to be faithful to the call and to continue to do the work.
Right.
And I think that, if anything I can take from my experience, playing and coaching with you and my time there at Bethel was to say, like, it may come. we hope and we are faithful to the fact that it will get there. But in reality, there's a call on us to be consistent, to do the work, to put in, to show up. And it is amazing to see what Bethel athletics have become because of that work. And we also are excited to see where it goes as a result of the work we know is going to happen. So,
no, that's one, just as you say that, a couple things pop into my mind that we've used the word uncomfortable a lot. And I think in our society, we want to be comfortable. I'd rather sit on the couch and eat chips and watch a football game, but there's not a whole lot of growth that happens in that. The growth is going to happen when we're uncomfortable. And I've talked to the teams when I have talked to them this fall, I've said, and I'm convinced of this, and I don't have it figured out at all and still trying to figure it out, but I'm convinced that the single most thing that's going to determine their or our level of joy is if we can figure out that it's not about us, or it's not about you, or it's not about me. It's about us as a team. It's about us as a community, and trying to take the individual and the self out of it, which is really difficult. But I think once somebody can do that, their level of joy just skyrockets. And then I think that's where all of a sudden that kind of it multiplies, kind of like how Coach Miller used to talk about, he bounced that racquetball on top of each other. What was that word that he used for that? Not synergy, but
he did love synergy though.
So but kind of like if one ball bounces 3 feet, if one ball bounces off the other, it multiplies to 6 feet. And just so how you can work together. And so I'm just really excited about what's ahead for us.
We are so grateful that you took the time to join us today and support us on this journey. We can't wait to continue to meet and catch up with coaches and staff and whoever else is involved with this podcast. Coach, again, appreciate it. And thank you so much for your time.
Hey, it's awesome to hang out with you guys. It's good to see you. Thanks for having me. This is pretty cool. I've enjoyed this.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of We Are BU. We'll be back in a couple of weeks with another fantastic conversation. In the meantime, check out the Bethel Athletics website for up-to-date scores, team schedules, highlights, all those sorts of things. The biggest thing that we ask about this, and our goal, is to grow one another, to get better every day. Subscribe, follow, and share it with somebody that you think may find value. It's a great day to be a Royal. See you next time.